Hi Big Tractor Power fans, this video comes to you from a Western Kentucky cornfield where a brand new model year 2020 CLAAS 7500 Terra-Trac Lexion Combine is harvesting corn. We're going to take some time to walk all the way around this machine and take a tour with one of the top representatives of CLAAS North America on Lexion Combines. We'll take a look at some of the components and updates of the machine. We'll climb up in the cab to look at the new technology, as well as climbing up on the engine compartment to see the cooling system, the 403 horsepower engine, and the 385 bushel grain bin. There's a whole lot to see. It's going to take over 30 minutes to take a tour of this combine, but hopefully by the time we're done, you'll have learned a lot of new information about the next generation of Lexion Combines from CLAAS. I'm here with Jeff Gray from CLAAS, and we're going to talk about the new generation of 7000 and 8000 series Lexions. I've had an opportunity to spend some time out in the field with this 7500. Jeff, what's your role with CLAAS, and what can you tell us about these new combines?
Well, I'm the product manager responsible for field support, and I've now been with CLAAS of America for 21 years, working exclusively with the Lexion Combine. So it's been a fun ride for the last 21 years, seeing all the changes. And the big change that you see behind us is definitely the color of the new combine. We decided to make that big change to the CLAAS colors. It was time. The Lexion has always been a CLAAS product. It's been a CLAAS developed an engineered product. We had an affiliation with Caterpillar back in the late 90s and early 2000s, a marketing arrangement, joint venture, and once that ceased in 2002, we continued to keep the Lexions in the cat livery for a while, just to maintain the sales that we were having, the momentum that we had going. But it was time to change. CLAAS is CLAAS. It's not yellow and black. It's green, white, and red. And it's a global brand strategy, and we had to adhere to that. And it was time.
Well, and you sell a lot of hay and forage equipment, tractors now in the United States. It's good family styling. It's pretty exciting to see. But these combines have been here now for 21 years.
That's right.
First one you were just telling me sold right here in Kentucky.
Yep, that's right. Just down the road from where we're at here in Madisonville.
That's pretty neat. And CLAAS has been selling combines since about 1966 in North America. So
that's right. Yep, we've been
long history.
We've been in North America over 50 years. So, and this year was very important to us because we had the largest product introduction in North America that CLAAS has ever had. We had over 50 products introduced here back in July, and the new series of Lexion combines, that was a big part of that. We also introduced new Axion 900 series tractors, one even with Terra-Tracs. We also introduced new Jaguar forage harvesters, a lot of new hay tools. So there's a lot of products that got introduced back in July that you're going to see here at the fall farm shows.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing them out in the field in action. They look impressive.
So,
let's talk about the new combine.
Sure.
Lots to know about these. Even the smallest model is a pretty big machine, and the big machines are really big.
That's right. Well, everybody is what they expect out of their combines is always is productivity and efficiency, and that's what we wanted to make sure that we were going to be able to provide our customers. We wanted to stay on top of that. Lexion Combines, especially the 700 series, has always been able to maintain a very good lead and ahead of our competitors, a good 20% productivity advantage. The new Lexion 7000 and 8000 series capitalizes on that, but adds even more in productivity. We boost that by 10% more, so now we're going to be at a 30% advantage over our nearest competitors with all the changes that took place in these combines. And for example, on this machine that's right here next to us, this is the new CLAAS 7 7500. This is one's actually equipped with the Terra-Trac, so it'd be called a 7500 TT. And this has the all-new APS hybrid SynFlow processor in it. That's the new processor in the 7 and 8000 series Lexions. And SynFlow just is the designation given to the new system. SynFlow stands for synchronized flow. They've always been the APS hybrid system has always had synchronized flow, but we added SynFlow just to designate the new processor from the current or the previous processor. How this differs is we enlarged a lot of the components inside here. One, to keep up with the future current and future genetic and yield trends. The current APS hybrid system that we've been using in the 400, 500, and 700 series has done very well in keeping up with current yield trends and genetic trends, but that was the first 20 years. This is the next 20 years, so we have to be able to keep up with those genetic trends and yield trends that we're going to be seeing over the next 20 years. So that's why we came with a new APS SynFlow hybrid system. So the big changes to it actually happened mainly up front in the threshing area. Our threshing cylinder went up from 24 inches in diameter and 8 rasp bars to 30 inches and 10 rasp bars. So we enlarged the threshing cylinder. The rear impeller on the combine went from 15 inches to 24 inches. So they improved substantially. The benefit that the operator is going to experience, or the owner is going to experience from that, is gentler threshing action, but more capacity. By making those cylinders larger, we actually enlarged the concave area by 23% on these combines, enlarging this Class 7 and even the Class 6 7400's concave by 23%. That gives it almost as much threshing area as the current Class 9 760 and Class 10 780. So these really jumped in capacity.
I was going to say, I've spent a lot of time around 760s, and I noticed today this one was just the way it moved through the field. It seemed more efficient, faster, and the way it was just chopping up the material and throwing it out the back was, just a lot more than a 760.
One thing we got a lot of comments on at the Farm Progress Show last week was how quiet and smooth they run, and that's due to the new drivetrain that's on the left-hand side of the combine, as well as the use of belts, conveyor belts inside the feeder house. We're not using chains. We have chains as standard, but we also have these optional conveyor belts, and those reduce the amount of sound not only in the cab but externally significantly. You don't have that chain, the rumble of the chain or the clicking of the chain as it goes around the front drum. It's much quieter, and those belts are actually much more reliable. You get two plus times the life of as you do chains using the belts, and they're a lot less sensitive to foreign objects as well, and they require less maintenance. So the belts in the feeder house, the conveyor belts are a win. No matter how you look at them. So other things that we did to the combine: convenience. Convenience items are those things that make life easier and often result in greater productivity because of their ease. And so customers have been asking for, the marketplace has been asking for, is we want to be able to make more reconfiguration or more changes from the cab. So we've allowed that now with the new combine. So I can shift from high to low on my threshing system from the cab. I can also do that on the chopper speed range as well. The chopper also allows me to engage or disengage stationary knives, as well as work some of the other features on the chopper, all right from the comfort of the cab. So we don't have to leave the cab. So by not having to leave the cab for an extended period of time, that's going to make sure our uptime is much quicker, getting in the field, and that's going to result in a faster return on your investment. The faster that you can get to the field, the faster you can get done. As I always say, as much fun as it is to run these combines, and I enjoy it every time I'm in the seat of one behind the wheel of a Lexion Combine, as much fun as they are, it costs money to harvest. And you really want to get in there and get that crop harvested in as timely a fashion, as efficiently as you can, because that's going to get you a return on your investment faster. And that was one of the main criteria that we put into this combine: productivity and efficiency. We wanted you to be able to do more in the same window that you're operating in, but if you want the flexibility of starting earlier and running later, you have that. The APS technology in the combine has enabled that for the last 21 years. That APS cylinder in this combine, that's the secret weapon on a Lexion. That APS cylinder up front with its spiral aligned paddles has the ability to optimize the crop flow as it enters the combine, sort through those dense really dense slugs of material that cause other combines to romp. We sort through them, smooth that out so the Lexions rarely romp. And as we do that, we also separate out the easy to thresh crop. So anything that got separated out in the header, the feeder house, or by the action of that front cylinder, that crop passed through the grate that's under that front cylinder. So if it doesn't need to be threshed, why thresh it? Send it onto the cleaning chute. Let the threshing system focus on the tougher, more resilient crop. And that's where we get our grain quality on these combines. And now with the larger threshing cylinder and the rear impeller, we're going to be able to run at even slower speeds, up to 20% slower, and still achieve the same flow rates that we were doing on the 700 series. And that's going to enable us to and often run slower depending on the conditions than that. And we're finding now with this new APS SynFlow system that we're using settings very close to corn settings, dry corn settings, to harvest tough to thresh soybeans. And that gives us, we still get our productivity, but that also is giving us our quality, because we're running so much gentler inside the combine. We're now able to get those, to get the quality that those seed producers require.
And when it comes to the quality and the speed, what is the capacity of these machines? How many bushels are they putting up there in the bin? And I've also noticed the unloading auger seems to be pouring a lot more grain out than the past models.
Yep, yeah, we, you know, if you're going to increase the productivity of the combine, you've got to be able to, you've got to let it breathe, and you've got to let that material circulate through the combine, the grain circulates. So we had to enlarge the grain handling system. We enlarged all the cross augers. We enlarged the returns auger. The returns elevator got much larger. The biggest change took place in the clean grain elevator, the clean grain handling side.
And that's right over here.
Yep, right back here. So we went from a 6,000 bushel per hour to an 8,000 bushel per hour clean grain elevator. Now that sounds like a big jump. 8,000 bushels per hour sounds like a lot of material, a lot of crop, and it is. Is everybody going to do that? No. You got to manage well for that. But when you have an elevator that has that kind of capacity, that's going to move material much gentler. As large as that elevator is, especially those folks that are in the high moisture or feedlot corn, where you got the large kernels, the large stickier kernels, they're going to flow a lot more efficiently through this 8,000 bushel per hour elevator than they were through the 6,000 bushel per hour elevator. And that's going to benefit those folks, but it's also going to benefit these folks here as well, because by having that higher capacity clean grain handling, you're going to run less returns because of it, and because you're going to get all that material out of the cleaning system much faster, more efficiently, get it onto the grain tank, and then we'll unload that grain tank at up to 5.1 bushel per second. And our grain tanks go up to 510 bushel, so the largest grain tanks available. And the reason for 510 is because, again, the market was asking, our customers were asking for the ability to travel through, harvest through a half-mile long field without unloading on the go, and then turning around and start unloading on the way back. And that's why we put 510 bushel to enable that to take place when you're harvesting 250 bushel corn with a 12-row corn head. That's very important to the
That's
customer.
impressive, because 35 years ago that was a big grain cart, and now that's the combines carrying that.
That's the combine.
What kind of unloading auger length do you have on these combines now?
We got to on these machines out here, we got to 32 foot on this one, and that'll span the 40 foot out to a 40 or 45 foot flex draper.
Let's take a look at the cab with Jeff here. We'll climb up the stairs and take a look inside. I will say I judge every machine about whether I can climb up it one-handed with a camera, and this is definitely passing the test. Number one combine on the market for one hand and a camera.
Oh, great, great.
So I see that it has a camera in here. We can see it, what's behind us when we're backing up.
Yep, yep. So when I go into reverse, that comes on the main screen, and then I can actually look at the, if we were harvesting, I can also show the grain quality camera. So here's my different cameras here. So number 2 is my grain quality camera. So when we're harvesting through the field, the grain quality camera is going to take a snapshot of the grain that's traveling through the elevator, analyze it, and present to the operator the percent damage and foreign matter that's going into the grain tank. If I hit that camera, then I can see the wide angle view behind us, and then this view you're seeing here is on the end of the unloading tube that actually have extended right now, so it's looking out over the cornfield. So that helps the operator when trying to top off the auger carts. So going back into the field mode screen. So what's great about this display, it's a color touch screen, and provides there's a lot of redundancy on here on how to navigate this screen. I can do it as a touch screen. I can touch on a feature like right there's dynamic power. Dynamic power is our new power management system from CLAAS Power Systems, and what this does is it optimizes the engine power based upon load to maximize fuel economy. It also enables power boost on the combine. So as I engage the unloading system, I'm going to get an extra 35 to 40 horsepower on this combine while unloading on the go, which customers appreciate because that helps them maintain their productivity. They're not going to slow down while unloading on the go.
Especially if you're moving 8,000 bushels an hour.
Yeah, or 5.1 bushel per second out of the end. So we've got that. So I can go in and do that also. Or let's say I want to make an adjustment to the header. Instead of going into the header icon and going through multiple menus here, I can just tap on the header, and there's all the header menus that I need to work with right there. The same is true when I tap on the threshing system. Those features pop up. As the chopper, those features, those adjustments would pop up as well, or anything related to performance monitoring, such as my loss sensors off my rotor, my cleaning system, or my returns and grain quality camera. So
that's really easy.
All those are just right here on the front screen, so the home screen, so that I don't have to go multiple screens deep to make those changes. But some of the other convenient items that customers have been asking for, again, I mentioned being able to transition from one crop to the next without leaving the cab. For example, threshing. I'll go in here to the machine icon, hit threshing system, and right there is my threshing cylinder reduction switch. So I can toggle from being on low range or high range just right here from the comfort of the cab. I don't have to leave the cab to make any mechanical change to the threshing drive. It's all done right here. And I can also do the same thing on the chopper drive as well as for the stationary knives and the friction plate within the chopper. So we put all those conveniences right here at the fingertips of the operator, so they don't have to leave the cab.
So if I was harvesting canola, which we have here, and then I needed to jump over to wheat in the afternoon, can I just put the touch of a button, switch from one crop to the other?
What you would do is you would set the range that you wanted to harvest in. Naturally, those two would be in high range, so you wouldn't have to make any change there. So all I'd have to do is come into the crop. I'd come through here and look for the crop that I want to harvest. So hold on here, let me find that. Select the corn data, scroll through here, and so we're going from canola to wheat. Actually, wheat was right up here on top. So wheat, just tap wheat, and then I start loading my crop. If I had the processor on, everything would load, all the settings would load, and then we'd have our wheat settings loaded, and we'd be ready to go. And then after that, what you would have is just some configurations. For example, I might need to close down the main concave cover plate or engage intensive threshing segments, which are all done right here from the cab. I don't have to leave the cab for those to make those changes if the combine is equipped with them. So typically a small grains combine will be equipped with the in-cab controlled intensive threshing segment and the main concave cover plate. So those are just things that those are also optional for other combines, but additional adjustments, configurations you can make right from the cab. So
that's really handy.
It's all about uptime. And then I can go through and I can program these screens to show whatever I want them to show. Run through my list. Another thing that's really nice in the combine too is the favorites. I can come in here. I have a list of favorite adjustments that I like to make, and so I tap on the favorites button. And for example, I have my feeder house speed, my lateral tilt, my header position when I'm running an auto contour, my header pitch. So for example, we're on header pitch now, so I go into header pitch and I'll just tip the head forward or back as needed, so to accommodate the crop that I'm harvesting. That's great for when harvesting soybeans. I can tip that cutter bar back just a little bit, just to ride just a little bit lighter over some softer conditions, say, or stickier conditions that might happen after the sun goes down. So that's all from that top link that we have on top of the feeder house.
And also on the header here, I see kind of a wishbone sticking out here between that. Is that a sensor to keep the combines in the rows?
Yep, that sensor right there, that is the whiskers that are used to the row sensors that are used to keep the combine on track down the corn rows. So we don't have to utilize GPS for those. They're a standalone system that just feel their way through the field. That's also a great feature when we're harvesting down corn, because even when the corn's down, the best way to harvest it is still with the rows. And when you can't see the rows, those feel the rows. Those will get under the rows and feel the rows. Yep.
And now notice also here you have a controller joystick right here. It looks like it runs most of the functions here.
Yep. This is the C motion handle, and the C motion handle is ergonomically designed. It looks very much like a very large computer mouse. What this enables me to do is it allows me actually to run 3 functions. I can sit here and run my thumb on the feeder house raise lower. I can also move my unloading tube if I need to, as well as tilt the header if that's where I'm sitting at right here. Let me move this up to the header tilt. So if I'm running my header up and down and I need to tilt it really quick, I can run my middle finger on the header tilt while I'm raising and lowering the header as I'm traveling through the field. I can do that. And then if I'm unloading on the go and I need to maneuver my unloading tube at the same time, I can do that all simultaneously with these 3 fingers right here. Sounds like a bit of a challenge, but it's actually very convenient. When you can feather the unloading tube while trying to maneuver your way, and you saw some of the draws that are out here in this field.
I saw them move through the draw that way. It was pretty neat. I thought, well, they're just going to stop unloading, and
that's right.
Nope, they kept going.
Yep, there's some of those out there where we're getting into some really acute changes in terrain where I actually had to go to manual mode and then tilt the header at the same time while I'm raising and lowering, and while we're still harvesting. Just imagine doing that while unloading on the go. It's probably best to shut the unloader off, but sometimes when we've got to keep going. So we've given by having this joystick, that enables the customers to have that kind of flexibility.
Oh, it definitely has a lot of flexibility. Now, is the combine automated in that it can adjust to the crop density and the crop conditions throughout the day?
Absolutely. What we have on this combine is Cruise Pilot, and what Cruise Pilot is our throughput control system. We actually have flow sensors in the feeder house that measure the density of the crop. We actually use the conveyor. As we go through, there's a pressure roller that runs between the conveyor, and when it raises up and down, when it hits on the conveyor belts or conveyor chains, and it pushes up onto that pressure roller, that's what actually measures the thickness of the crop mat that's traveling in, and that preps CMOS Automatic, which is our machine optimization system, to start thinking about very quickly, those changes that are going to need to be made as the density changes as we travel through the field. And as you look out across this field, you'll see the green on top go down, and then on down in the bottom, and towards the end you'll see some much drier conditions. So Cruise Pilot is really sensing that. You can feel the ground speed modulate as we travel through, and then CMOS Automatic is actually picking up on that. That's one of the big inputs into CMOS Auto is Cruise Pilot, and it's picking up on that and helping refine those settings or make them as accurate as possible as we travel through the field. So yeah, on this combine, so we've got the Cruise Pilot, so it's on. I'm sitting here at throughput, monitored throughput, so we're looking at not only the material coming in, but we're also monitoring what's going out over our loss sensors. So that's the strategy that I have selected there. And then if we go into CMOS Automatic, I've got auto thresh on. Activated. I also have auto separation and auto cleaning. So auto threshing is going to utilize the input from the grain quality camera to make adjustments to compensate for any damage that it might be picking up on. As well, and then auto separation is going to be looking at loss sensors. It's going to be looking at the moisture as well as the feedback from Cruise Pilot to make its rotor speed adjustments or rotor cover plate adjustments. As you see right here, I've got those rotor cover plates right there that I can start changing down, closing down. I can close 1, 2, and you can see them as they start to close right there. I can do it on the screen, or I can just come right over to the toggle switch here and I can start closing them down. So I've got the 3rd set closed or the 4th set. You wouldn't run the 3rd and 4th set closed in the Midwestern Corn Belt. We would run with the first 2 closed in very chaff-heavy conditions in small grains or in soybeans. But in corn, we'd keep all those open. Now, those folks up in the northern tier of states where we grow a lot of small grains and canola, as well as in Canada, they really appreciate having the ability to close those down, especially those very dry, chaff-heavy crops. Conditions. So.
And here in Western Kentucky, we probably have all those conditions.
Oh, absolutely.
Corn to wheat, to canola, beans.
You got barley, wheat, canola, corn, beans. So you got the flexibility right here at your fingertips.
This looks like the right kind of combine to have here.
exactly. So, so CMOS automatic. That is we introduced CMOS automatic several years ago, back in 2011, and we've kind of been at the forefront of that. What separates our system from competitive optimization systems is ours is an intelligent system. It actually learns as it travels through the field. So as we're harvesting along, you'll actually see it go into its learning phases and test the limits of certain ranges of adjustments on the threshing, separation, and cleaning systems, all to adapt to changing conditions in the field as the day progresses. And as it makes those changes, it gets smarter, and it has the ability to, and combined with the feedback from Cruise Pilot, make those adjustments much more accurately, much more quickly as we travel through the field. You can either have it start from ground zero and adjust the combine by itself, or you can actually start with your own settings and then engage CMOS Auto to start there as well. So you have that flexibility to engage and operate with the system. So it's not a maintainer system. You don't set it and it doesn't just maintain your settings. It actually improves upon what you already started with. So it senses all those variable changes that are taking place in the combine resulting from the field to make those adjustments on the fly. So it is an intelligent system. It is using artificial intelligence to autonomously make these changes. It does so continuously, but it's not an automatic system. It is an autonomous system, so it thinks before it makes the changes.
Very impressive.
So, and that's something we're quite proud of. That's the technology that is really that is the emerging technology. Things are getting smarter, and this is a smart combine. It's a smart combine, but it's a very easy and intuitive combine to operate. And that was something that we had to make sure that we were able to achieve, is we had to keep it intuitive. We didn't want a very steep learning curve with this new combine, so we improved all of the interface here to make it a lot more user-friendly. I mean, just you don't even have to worry so much here as much as just tap right on the combine, go to where you need to make
I like that a lot.
Without having to learn here. So today, oftentimes where farm operations struggle to find operators, so you get a lot of drivers that are out there that you need to, or novices that you need to quickly get up to speed. Well, keeping things intuitive and having that optimization system on board, CMOS Automatic, really improves it helps turn those drivers or novices into operators. So, we get a lot of questions asked, why do you use an aluminum ladder on the back? And, well, one, it's very easy. There is absolutely no complication whatsoever with bringing this ladder down or putting it back up. It's lightweight. A child can do it. It's easy to swing back out, pull down, access the engine compartment, but more importantly, or as importantly as accessing the engine compartment, it's got the hooks on the end. We can take this ladder around to the side rails, hook it onto the side rails. It's a functional ladder, and then I can climb up the side to do my necessary inspections or maintenance. It makes accessing the combine a whole lot easier, especially if you have tracks. But the ladder really improves the access to the combine. We've had this for 21 years. It is a very functional, it's a very easy to operate ladder. It's very lightweight, and it works very well. It is also sized right to fit into a deer stand, but please don't forget it inside a deer stand. I've had a customer one time do that. So now I've got the ladder down, so now it's time to access the engine compartment.
Well, let's take a look at the engine area here with Jeff. I'm really impressed by this ladder. I've always just liked the look of it, but I did not know how multifunctional it was.
Sure, multifunctional ladder. So right now I've got so to get into the engine compartment, just slide this door back, open it up, then I can slide forward, And then I can access the engine compartment. So there's the 10.7 liter Mercedes that's available on the Class 6 and Class 7 Lexions. So nice, easy access around the engine. You notice it's all opened up around the engine, not only on the sides, the front and the back and the sides, but also underneath. It's the pedestal mount that it is on, gives us access to easily blow out underneath the engine compartment if necessary.
What kind of horsepower is this Mercedes putting out?
This one's got 403 horsepower.
Okay.
So behind the engine, you'll notice here's the dynamic cooling system. Another one of the signature features on the Lexion Combine that we introduced back in 2015. And the benefit of this system is we're pulling air from the top down where it's coolest and cleanest, and that is going to increase your service interval significantly on your air filter. So you're not going to have to be blowing out your air filter every day, every other day, every week. That's something that's going to be prolonged beyond the week, pushing 2 weeks, even more, because we're pulling clean air from inside this housing. So pulling it from the top down where it's coolest and cleanest, there's the radiator and the coolers as it's pulled down by the variable speed fan. And what I mean by variable speed, it's variable speed on demand. So as the engine heats up, it speeds up faster. As the engine cools down, the fan slows down. That saves us about 20 horsepower up here on the engine by having that variable speed fan. And then as it's pulled down and blown into the floor underneath it, it's bounced through the engine compartment up front and out the sides, and this air that gets forced out the side panels, the vents on the side of the Lexion, pushes all that dust and debris away from the Combine so it doesn't get sucked back down in.
So it's going right out this kind of gray area here of the
That's
the
right.
vent?
Those vents that you see along the side panels. And especially for those running chopping corn heads where you get that fine, sappy debris that gets up in the air and sticks to the side of the Combines and oftentimes wants to get into the cooling systems, we push that away from the Combine so it doesn't suck that back in. The Combine stays cleaner longer, your filter stays cleaner longer, and the air that does not escape through those vents gets trapped underneath, creates turbulence, and keeps that dust and debris from lighting on top of flat surfaces on the side of the Combine. So overall, the whole Combine stays cleaner because of dynamic cooling. So I'll close this down and then we'll get up and look at that grain tank. If I close the engine compartment door down, I will raise this door up, get up on the steps, takes me up on top of the engine, and now we can look down into the engine compartment. And there you'll notice there is a little bit of corn left in there. As you notice over there on our auger cart, it is full, so we're waiting to dump that cart so we can finish cleaning out our grain tank. You'll notice the steps down into the grain tank for easy access into the grain tank to make any adjustments. Let's say we need to adjust the height of the cross auger covers. You'll see multi-position covers you can see right there. So those are all easily accessible. Right here, this little box you see here, this is on the forward portion of the clean grain elevator. That is our new mass flow yield sensor that takes the place of the previous optical sensors, the volumetric optical sensors we used. And back here on top of the clean grain elevator is the grain quality camera. Right there you can see the grain quality camera. It takes a snapshot of the contents flowing through the elevator, provides the operator with another vantage point from which to fine-tune the machine, or allow CMOS Automatic to do it autonomously.
So what size grain tank is on the 7500?
This one is 385 bushel.
Okay. Which is amazing, because back in 2005, your biggest combine in the world was the 595R, 360 bushel.
That's right. That's right. That Class 9. You know, it's always been interesting over the years, especially through the 700 series. We've been able to maintain a 20% advantage over our competitors, and we did that without the largest grain tank or the fastest unload rate or even the most horsepower. It's not about so much about having the most. It's about the efficiency, being able to the most efficient use of power, and that's what the APS hybrid system and now the APS SynFlow system, that's what it provides the end user. That's the real benefit, is efficiency. And so
now it looks like the GPS beacon is mounted up here as well.
Yep.
Or is that...
That's right. That's right. So before, back in the 700 series, it wasn't we didn't always have the largest grain tank, fastest unload rate now, but we now lead each class size with the grain tank, and we're almost the fastest on the unload rate. Depends on where you have your cross auger covers positioned. So we are leading in the grain handling. We are leading in the continue to lead in the throughput capacity with the 8 new APS Synflow system. So we really boosted our productivity big time with this new combine.
Sure saw it in the field today. And now, how long is this unloading auger again out here?
This one's 32 feet.
That's a lot of range there.
Yep.
Jeff, thank you for this thorough tour of the new Lexion. It's an impressive machine, and there's just so many features and components to know about. I appreciate you taking the time to walk us through each of the steps of the machine.
My pleasure, Jason. Anytime.
And I'm really impressed with that ladder in the back.
Oh,
that's
yeah,
pretty neat.
You should be. I mean, it's the little things like that make life easier. The little convenient items like that, and understanding how it works and why. That's also part of it. So it's always good to make sure that we keep folks educated as to the changes that we make and the features that we offer. That's the best way to promote our products. So.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing a bunch of these out in the field, and can't wait to see the whole range.
Sure. Well, if you want to see more of them, we got 2 more farm shows that are coming up here with the next couple of weeks. We got Husker Harvest Days next week in Grand Island, Nebraska, and then the Ohio Farm Science Review that's the following week, 3rd week in September in London, Ohio. Both of them have very large field demonstrations. The Ohio Farm Science, we will be harvesting soybeans there as well, so you'll see us do corn and soybeans. And I'm planning on having at the Husker Harvest Days next week, we have a Class 9 8700 Terra-Trac with a 12-row chopping corn head, and then out at Ohio Farm Science Review, I will have this very combine right here, this 7500 Terra-Trac with this 1230 chopping corn head, as well as our Class 8 8600 Terra-Trac and our new 45-foot Convio flex draper.
I hope people get out to the shows and see them. It's well worth the look.
Yep, that's right.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yep, no problem. Anytime.
I hope that you've enjoyed taking a tour of this new Lexion Combine and found the information on the new CLAAS machine informative. I know that many of you like to tune into Big Tractor Power YouTube to see and hear big machines in action. And don't worry, you will get to see this CLAAS 7500 Terra-Trac Lexion in action out in the field. I got a chance to climb up in the cab and ride along with Jeff while the machine was harvesting corn, and you'll get to see a lot of this technology at work, on the ground, and up in the cab. Stay tuned to Big Tractor Power YouTube to see a video of the new model year 2020 CLAAS Lexion Combine harvesting corn out in the field in the near future. Until then, I hope you'll consider subscribing to Big Tractor Power YouTube, where there are over 1,000 videos of farm machines in action. Make sure to click on the notifications bell as well so you'll know when the next Big Tractor Power video is released. New videos are coming out almost every day from the channel. If you have any questions or thoughts about this video, please leave them in the comment section below as I try to respond to every post that is made. If you would like to get a preview of what is coming up next on Big Tractor Power YouTube, make sure to check out Big Tractor Power Instagram, where I share pictures and short video clips of what is currently being filmed in the field. As always, thank you for watching.